back to another episode of Sit and Spin with me, your host, Joe Royal, and long overdue. I know, had a bit of an absence, but I've been busy with a newborn baby, my son Malcolm. So please forgive me for taking a bit of a break. He's been a bit more of a handful than I thought he would be, and that, along with work, it's a busy season of work for me. It's not left me a lot of time to do the show. But I wanted to be sure that I get a few records covered before the end of the year, particularly the one we're going to talk about today. And if you've seen the shirt and all, you probably got a hint there that it's from our good friends in the Irish band Pugwash, and their most recent release, Play This Intimately as If Among Friends. And I've been meaning to talk about this album since it came out way back at the end of August. But finally getting around to it now, better late than never. Pugwash, of course, is an Irish band comprised of Thomas Walsh on vocals and guitar, Tosh Flood on guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals, Joey Fitzgerald on drums and backing vocals, and Sean McGee on bass and vocals. I'm not going to get too into the band's history. If you want to find out more about them, please go back and watch episodes 68 and 69, where we cover the band pretty much in depth, but I'll give you a little bit of the Reader's Digest on the band. I'm going to start off by telling you that the guys are clearly inspired by the groups they grew up listening to, and they have impeccable taste and pedigrees when it comes to that department. Having talked to the guys in the band and knowing what some of their favorites are, I can tell you that. And they managed to take the essence of their influences and craft them into entirely music that sounds still fresh while also wonderfully nostalgic. And this record is the band's 5th studio album overall. It's their first since 2011. It's excellent Olympus sound, and their first kind of international release coming to you, at least in the States, on Omnivore Recordings, our friends over at Omnivore. I'm going to tell you that it's yet another fine entry into the canon of Pugwash albums, and some of the most glorious, gorgeous melodies you're ever likely to hear. It was recorded at legendary Kingstone Studio, Conch Recording Studios, and engineered and mixed by Gary Massey, and co-produced by Thomas Walsh and guitarist Tosh Flood. And Walsh is just a genius with melody, with a voice as sweet as the purest honey, and he's chosen to wisely surround himself these days with equally talented musicians, including Tosh Flood, who lays down some truly tasty guitar work throughout the record, and as well as great keyboard work on everything from Hammond organ to Moog and Mellotron, and he's a great singer in his own right. The same can be said of the rest of the band as well, and bassist Sean McGee and drummer Joe Fitzgerald, contributing to the amazing vocal harmonies on the album. And Sean is just an agile, supple bassist who just knows his way around playing down a great backbeat, with sometimes even playing them before the beat of the song, just like much like Paul McCartney would. It's great stuff. And Joey is equally adept at laying down simple, softer backbeats as he is doing the up-tempo rocking ones. And to me, that's always the mark of a great drummer. Anybody can pound the skins and be passable at it. To be able to play on like the softer material, that takes true skill. And Joey Fitzgerald is just, he's great at it. The album kicks off with the appropriately titled track you just heard, Kicking and Screaming, featuring a guest appearance from one of Walsh's own idols, and Jeff Lynne from ELO. And top to bottom, this album is really solid. Mostly, though, it's kind of more mid-tempo and laid back, and that's fine. I dig that. But it does have its upbeat moments, too. We'll get to some of that, as well as some of the individual highlights from the band members momentarily. I'm going to kind of skip over to talking about some of the first few tracks, because you're likely to hear them in the background anyway, but we'll jump ahead to Just So You Know, which is a laid-back, breezy number with an excellent Spanish guitar, really elegant solo from Flood, and guest keyboards on Fender Rhodes from the great Neil Hannon, who also contributes to many other songs on the album as well. I'm also a big sucker for bossa nova style tunes, and the song Clouds on this album is as good as they come. And again, features Neil Hannon as well as backing vocals from band's road manager Alan Redman. Alan! The unofficial 5th pug of the band, and also a nice flugelhorn subtly in the background from Noel Langley. The Fool I Had Become is yet another gorgeous style ballad. The song ends on a really great guitar solo from Tosh, and if there's like one thing I wish is that just as he's starting to get into it, it fades out on the record, and I wish he could have extended that a bit longer. I get it, for the sake of the studio cut, you want to stay within the realm of a certain time length for a pop song, but at least live, he cuts loose and extends that solo out a bit more, and it's great. You Could Always Cry kind of brings the tempo back up again with a bit of traveling Wilbury skiffle-style shuffle to it, and a fantastic walking bass line from Sean McGee, who really shines on this number. It's like just a great example of how amazing a bass player Sean McGee is. And it's also the type of tune that Mike Nesmith of the Monkees would be equally jealous of, because it kind of harkens back to his more country-influenced stuff. back at the time of the Monkees and after the first national band. Hung Myself Out to Dry rolls them along in a nice bit of Beatles-esque jangle, of up-tempo pop. It's another standout on the album. Silly Love is another great example of what I was talking about earlier, managing to sound like the best classic Paul McCartney songs while still sounding relevant and fresh and brand new for now. Oh Happy Days is another track that's kind of a more laid-back number with folk-inspired, but features great bass-backing vocals from XTC's Andrew Partridge, who was an early supporter of the band, and they were signed to his own little imprint label early on, as well as the Kinks' own Ray Davies shows up as a guest vocalist on that track too. From there we also have All the Way From Love, which is the great long-lost Roy Orbison song that Roy never recorded himself, and Thomas is just fantastic on this track, and if you close your eyes and didn't know any better, you'd probably swear it was Roy himself. And then the album ends on the psychedelic flourishes of We Are Everywhere, which is a great closing track of an album cut. But again, overall, solid record, top to bottom, great record, one of my favorites of the year. Pugwash is Play This Intimately, as if among friends, and seeing as how Christmas is literally right around the corner, if you're looking for a great gift to give somebody this year, especially a music fan, and if they're into like the classic pop rock bands like the Beatles and the Kinks and the Zombies and all that type of music, the fans of that band, you want to give them something, maybe something they don't have or aren't familiar with, definitely pick this album up for them. And in true sort of holiday fashion, even thinking ahead of this, even though this album came out way back in August, if you get the album on vinyl, it comes in appropriately colored holiday red vinyl, which sounds as great as it looks spinning on the turntable too, so doubly good as a Christmas present for your favorite music band. But that's it for this week. Pugwash. Sorry it took me so long to get around to it, guys, but better late than never. Finally I got the chance to talk about it before year's end, and hopefully I have one more show out before the end of the year, and then probably at the beginning of the year. Next year, my good friend Scott Oliver and I from Righteous Vinyl will be doing our yearly top 5 vinyl picks, and I wonder, this one's probably likely to show up on it. So join us for that then. Thanks for sticking around and sticking with me, even though it's been a bit of an absence. And we will catch you next time on Sit and Spin. And as a little bonus, here's a live track from the recent Pugwash performance of You Could Always Cry live in the studio. So check it out, and catch you next time on Sit and Spin. See you then.
This is called You Could Always Cry.